Static energy from my mind and body. Be all I can be, best version of me. I won't give up, no, I never stop. Boost me up with Supplegent. Boost me up. Boost me up.
One glass of Supplegent has 8 vitamins and minerals and is power-packed with protein to maintain healthy muscle mass. The day is yours. Supplegent. Boosts you up.
Super Center, everything for your home and more.
Whether you are redecorating your home, looking for a gift idea, or simply feel for some retail therapy, Asden Super Center is the place to be. Regal Plaza Kingston and Linstead. We have it all. From linens and curtains to appliances and cookware, furniture, rugs, and wall decor. It's everything for your home and more.
Asden Super Center, we're gonna make you smile. Asden Super Center, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
It will get better. It will get better. Won't last forever. Won't last forever. And if you trust in the Lord, your nights will turn to day.
Good morning, radio friends. You know when you hear that sound at this time of the morning, it is time for your mid-morning program. What is it? Yeah, you got it right. Final Decision. Of course, I am here with you. My name is Mark Maitland, and of course with me, as always, my co-pilot.
Errol Green from Exodus Funeral Home.
And if you are joining us for the first time, we want to say welcome to you. Welcome to this program. And for our regular listeners, we thank you so much for being here every Monday, every Thursday with us, and for keeping the program going and for sharing with others, and also for your feedback, for your questions, and just for your lovely company. Now, today we'll be talking about, every topic that we talk about are critical and are crucial topics. But before I delve into what we're going to be talking about, and today we'll be talking about grief, let me just share the numbers with you for you to, if you want to call. The local number is 876-968-8117. That's 876-968-8117. Toll free 877-494-0253. And of course, if you're trying to get us from overseas, the international number is 954-900-4310. So that's 954-900-4310. Today, we will be talking about, we'll be starting the topic of grief, because I know this is something that we won't be able to cover in one program. But I can tell you that the reason why we're talking about this topic is that this is something that we as funeral home operators, Mr. Green, realize that persons don't really deal with as how we are supposed to sometimes. And we tend to think at other times that there is no need for grieving. And let me just hasten to say, grieving is a process. It's not an event, so there's no time limit on how long you can grieve, right? And there's no timeline as to when to stop grieving. And so we want to discuss the topic today of grief. And I first want to just give the disclaimer, we are not psychiatrists. We try to get the professionals on this to come. They have agreed, but they are unable to be with us here today. But in the meantime, we have some researched information to share with you. Persons who are versed and who are educated on this matter, they have provided us some information that we can share with you. Now, the first thing that I want to say or want to discuss is really outline what is grief, the definition of grief. Grief is a natural response to loss. It is the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. Often the pain of loss can feel overwhelming. I'm not going to give you too much of the book word now, but Mr. Green, in the discussion, we realize, as you would have in many situations, that there are some persons who don't like to go through the emotional process, or they try to limit the emotional process. And I know you would have had experiences where persons come to you and they try to see how soon, how quickly they can get over grieving or feeling sad about the death of a loved one rather. And in addition, there are individuals who will encourage them to, as quick as possible, get
Yeah.
past this.
Yes, Mr. Maitland. As you rightly said earlier on, that there is no time limit
Yes.
to grieving as to how long you grieve for, right? And in this case, some family will come and say to us that, I want to get rid of this as quick as possible.
Right.
I just want this to be over with and done with.
Right.
Right? And sometimes the reason for that is because of the amount of pain
That they are going through.
that they are going through. Right? And they believe that the sooner is the better.
Right.
In this situation, it's not so.
No.
Right? The more you go into it, you'll find that you're grieving more because additional stress will be added.
And I'm happy you touch on that, Mr. Green, because there are persons who don't understand that grief can disrupt your physical health. Grief can make it difficult to sleep, eat, or even think straight. And when persons try to say, like you rightly said, let us see how soon we can get this thing over. In essence, what they're saying, the sooner this is done, is the sooner I'll get over it. Not realizing that grieving, as I said before, is not an event. It's not something that you just, today you are this way and tomorrow it's gone. It's a process. And it's not something that you can actually prepare for, because until you are in the situation, you won't know how you will react. And there are times, Mr. Green, that I know you have done this, and I'd have to do this as well. We have to refer clients to see a counselor or a psychiatrist. There's one thing I noticed also in our society. We don't think that children grieve.
Right. Mr. Maitland, a good email, because we also want to look at the 5 stages of grieving, right? But let us save that for the next segment, right? When we
Yes.
come back after the break.
Yes.
Right? Because this is a very interesting topic, right? As you said before, right? People don't think that children grieve.
No, they don't think that children. We often think that children don't understand,
They don't understand.
or they will grow past this.
And you'd be surprised when that child reach 18, you know the amount of hurt and something wrapped up in that child, coming from
Exactly.
age 6.
Exactly. And so, listeners, let me just pause to say to you, maybe it is that you have been in the situation, or maybe it is that you are currently dealing with a situation. Let me hasten to say, children grieve too. And yes, you might be burdened with having to finance the funeral service, or having to plan the funeral service. And oftentimes, we don't have the time to pay attention to the children, or we think that because they are not facing the financial challenges or the planning that comes with a funeral, they are not grieving. Children do feel lost.
Because in the case
well.
of death, sometimes you have to think about how attached
The
that
per-
child was to that individual.
Exactly.
Right? Because sometimes we as parents, we don't have that much, because we are parents.
Yes.
We say, we are parents. So we don't spend sometimes that much time, quality time with that child, And you say the uncle, you'll be surprised to know how supportive that uncle was to that child. You'll be surprised to know how close that aunt was to that child.
Or that cousin.
Or that cousin
Yes.
was to that child. Probably that cousin was the only one who that child could go and share certain things with. Probably the cousin was the kindest person in the world to that child.
Exactly.
And when that cousin had passed, then the grieving will start right there.
All right. We have a caller, Mr. Green. We have a caller. We're going to take
Hello,
that
good day.
call now. Thank you very much, caller. Are you hearing?
Yes, I'm hearing. Hello, good day.
Yes. Hello. How are you doing?
Hi, my name is Sasha. I'm happy you guys are talking about grief today. I have a question.
Go ahead.
When you're grief-stricken, right? Because I have a family member, they're supposed to be organizing, doing funeral arrangements, and they're so grief-stricken that they're unable to do that. Is it that services are provided by both your funeral homes where persons who are grief-stricken can be assisted and don't have to get like the death certificate, etc.? Do you offer those services?
All right. Thank you so much for your call, Sasha, and thank you so much for that very, very important question. Because yes, we do offer those services. We do offer those services because we do have situations where, based on what is happening, individuals are unable to function as effectively as they would normally. And you'll be surprised to find that in these type of circumstances, the strongest of person, Mr. Green,
Yes.
don't know what to do. And you know what happened, Sasha? When the strongest person in the family is disoriented, you're surprised how it affects everybody else, and then all of a sudden nobody is able to step up to cover. And so yes, we have had to step in, take care of these situations for the individuals, and may I hasten to say, at no added cost.
Yes, Sasha.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, Sasha, because one of the things, Sasha, that we do, whenever time a person seek our service, we try to find out first, how are they coping?
Yes.
How are they coping with the situation before we even start to deal with no form of money
Planning.
talk,
Yes.
planning.
Yes.
We want to know if you are okay. We want to know how close the person was to you. We want to know how much this is affecting you.
And if you're in a frame of mind.
Right. And there are certain things that we will ask you if you want us to assist you with these things, such as, to take care of the burial order, to seek out the burial spot and certain things. We try to assist family because we know because of the grieving process you might be unable to function as you are to.
Okay. Thank you very much. This information was helpful. I'll definitely pass it along.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you so much for your call.
Maitland and Mr. Green. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your call. Yes. That was very, 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 very vital. Mr. Green, see our point that the information is very, very needed during this time, and the things that we take for granted, there are individuals who really want these things they can benefit.
Yes, Mr.
from.
Maitland. And we want to go back and as you was talking about children grieve, because we want all listeners to understand this, that, don't take it for granted and said, yes, a pitney.
Yeah, they understand.
Them not understand. Them not, it
They will
will
grow
affect
it
them.
out.
They will grow. No, they will not. It will affect them mentally just the same.
All right. Another thing that we do is that what we try to do sometimes in the planning session, we don't want to really crowd the office space at times, but there are times when individuals come and especially if it's a parent die and they have children, we'd ask the individual who is planning the service to have the children come to be a part of the planning session. One of the ways to help children get through grieving is to make them a part of the process, make them a part of the planning. And so, for example, when we sit down to have that conversation, that family conference, when children are there, we ask, what would you like for this person? What was the person like? What was your favorite color? If you were to add anything, what would you add? Making them being a part of the process helps them to get through what is happening in their mind. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes we leave them out because we don't think that, this is something that they... And the truth is, we leave them out because we don't want to pressure them in our head. But at times, leaving them out causes severe stress on them because they feel as if their input is not valuable.
Right.
And they feel as if nobody notices that the person who died was valuable to them also. And so it is to our detriment sometimes when they leave children out of the grieving process because they do go through the pain of grieving. And the truth is, it is not manifested until later on in life.
Yeah, I lost my father, Mr. Maitland, at a very young age. And, and I was grieving to the point that, and I was not working. I was unemployed. And I was grieving to the point that I believe that I can't deal with this by myself because, to how me feel about the whole thing and other family behaviors and whatever, is not until an adult have to call me and I said, no, man, you can't do this by yourself. This is too much for you.
And especially if you're a male child.
You understand?
Our culture is that as a male, you're supposed to tough things out.
Yeah, and you find that all I was doing and planning was the wrong thing. I was going about it totally wrong. And by the end of the day, that cost me some enemies and some pain, and probably even 20 years down the road, I'll be still grieving.
And the truth is, sometimes we find persons behaving in a particular way and not understanding that it is because of the grief they are going through, and not knowing how to deal with that level of grief. Then they do, as we say, they act out. And in acting out, sometimes you offend and you hurt people. And so it is important that at all levels, when someone and a loved one dies, we pay attention to everyone.
Yes, listener, there you have it. It is good to know that we pay attention to the whole funeral arrangement, but I want to say to others who might be not grieving the death of that person, but you are closely associated to those who are grieving. Pay some attention to that grieving person.
All right. Very, very important.
Pay some attention.
Because everybody has a part to play. now.
Don't think alone that all you need is just money to bury the person. Think about, because probably money might not be the issue in this situation, you know. You understand? Money might not be the issue, but the closeness, the attachment,
And the burden of the loss.
and the burden of the loss. And it might even cause you to lose another loved one because you was not paying much attention to those who are grieving at the time.
Yes. All right. There we have it, listeners. We are talking about grief, and we're going to go to a break now. And on the other side of the break, we get deeper into the matter. It will get better. We'll be back shortly.
Forever, won't last forever. And if you trust in the Lord, your nights will turn to day. Just remember.
Tracy, who you go give on now?
You're too fast. Hey, me I got Jotex now for buy up my sugar bun, wine slice, bulla, coffee strip, and marble cake, plus some raisin bread, banana cake, and the best rock cake for the pitney them.
Me can get some?
No, go buy your own. Hey.
Jotex Bakery. Visit 20 Gold Street, Kingston, or call 922-5768. Open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Delivery island-wide. Jotex Bakery. So nice, so right.
Conditions apply.
Design your dream home with Total Hardware and Supplies. We have windows of all sizes on special. Doors galore. Choose from our wide variety of porcelain and ceramic tiles. Experience the best deals on sanitary ware, jacuzzis, shower enclosures, and baths. Just to name it, we have it all. Come on down to 2 Aiken Hill Drive, Pembroke Hall. Call us at 631-7648 or WhatsApp anytime 507-0865. Remember, same-day delivery available. Quality products, great prices. That's the Total Guarantee.
It will get better. It will get better. Won't last forever. Won't last forever.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. This is your mid-morning program, aired every Monday and Thursday at this time. Final Decision. We thank you so much for joining us. If you are joining us for the first time, we want to welcome you. My name is Mark Maitland from the Garden of Paradise Funeral Home, and with me, as always, every day, every time,
Errol Green from Exodus Funeral Home.
And today we are talking about grief. And before we went to the break, we were talking about dealing with grief in children, and Mr. Green somewhat touched on the whole notion of dealing with grief in general if you are not the person grieving, but you are close to the family. The fact is, whatever the loss, whatever the grieving, there's no wrong or right way to grieve. But by understanding the stages and types of grief, you can find healthy ways to cope with the grief. And so we're going to talk about the stages of grief. And long before I was taught about 1969, there was a psychiatrist by the name of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And she wrote on the 5 stages of grief. She divided grief into 5 stages. And she wrote about the 5 stages of grief. But before we get to Helen, we have another caller, Mr. Green. We have another caller.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller. All right.
We'll ask that caller.
All right.
So I hope that the caller will call back.
When they come back, we will entertain that call. All right. So, Mrs. Kubler-Ross talked about 5 stages of grief. Mr. Green, can you tell us what are the 5 stages?
Yeah, but let's go ahead. Let's go straight to that, Mr. Maitland.
All right. So her theory of grief became known as the Kubler-Ross model. And what she based on her interaction with individuals over a period of time, she divided grief into 5 stages. According to her, the stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I know we won't go through all 5 today.
Yeah, we want to see how quickly we can go into these 5 stages because they are very important.
Very important.
Right? Especially when it happened. I can't believe it. You know, denial.
The denial stage is the first stage.
Is the first stage, right?
And almost everybody experienced this stage, Mr. Green, because you'll hear, but me just talk to them the other day.
I can't believe it.
Or me just leave them. We have the caller now. All right, let us say the caller. Caller, your time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When families cannot come to an agreement in relation to which funeral home to choose, right? What is the best way to go about making that decision?
All right. Thank you for your question. The route that I normally suggest is to have a vote. And unless the deceased had an explicit wish for someone or an entity to take care of the final arrangements, I would say have a vote. However, I can make it easier for you. If the deceased is in Portland or St. Mary, call Mr. Green. If the deceased is in Kingston or the Kingston area, call Mr. Maitland. We'll help you to make the process a whole lot easier. But outside of that, you have a vote because you want to ensure that, and all funeral directors want to ensure that when they are serving a family, they are serving the entire family. And you don't have any form of division in relation to the decision to have them serve, because you want to ensure that when on the day of the funeral,
right,
you are able to smile and greet everybody, and there's no one standing up to say, "Boy, they never really want it."
And one of the good ways that Jamaicans look at things, they look at track record.
They look at track record.
So I would say to you, look at the track record. You know, Google a funeral home that you think you might want to use and try to find out about them. Find out about the type of service that they offer, and to see if they are able to please you at this time, because you want the best.
And if you want to follow a bit of track record, you can always go on our Instagram pages.
Right.
You will see
testimonies.
Yes, you'll see testimonies.
All right. Thank you so much for that information.
And thank you so much for your call.
Bye-bye.
All right, good. There are things that we look at as simple things, but when death happens, these become major things.
Major things.
To families.
Big things.
And can I tell you that I've seen situations where even the choice in final caregiver causes stress and strain on individuals, because there's one set of family members who want to use a particular funeral home. There's another set who wants to use another one. And there's a division there. And then oftentimes what you find is that those who are able to come up with the finances make the decision. And sometimes that decision is in the minority. And we find that family members grieve over that for years.
It can add also to the grieving process and make things even worse.
And cause division in the family. So if you think that only land and money cause stress and cause division in family, simple decision as to where your loved one goes, the type and color of casket, these things that we consider simple can become elements of great division in families. And for years, families don't talk to each other because at the time of death, they believe that their input was not merited. I know we started on talking about the five stages.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and these are very some important topics: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
But the good thing is that we have Thursday to come back to this, Mr. Green.
Yes, because, Mr. Maitland, the time will not afford us to go through all of this, but I'm wondering where to begin now. Because
we have to start at denial.
But
before we get to denial, I just want to based on what the caller just called about, just to say something more on that. And caller, we don't want you to think that we're making light of your question. As I said before, it is a decision that has to be made by a group, by a corporate group. So you call a family meeting, everybody sit, they present their choices, you give the pros and cons. What are the good reasons why I should use this funeral home? What are the reasons not to use the funeral home? And I know in Jamaica, we tend to use price as a factor. Cheaper is not always better. And also, most expensive is not always the best. You have to have levels on which to cast your vote. So it's not about the price. Talk about service delivery and the experiences that you have had with the person or you have seen. Talk about these things.
Yes, Mr. Maitland, and I'm very happy for that caller because, family called me as far as from Westmoreland, wanted to use our service. And when I listen to the whole circumstances, I have no other choice than to recommend a funeral home in Westmoreland.
And sometimes you have to do that.
Sometimes we have to do that.
And there are times that they will listen to you as a funeral director recommending someone else because they will say, if you recommend that entity, you know that they will deliver.
Because family comes from Westmoreland, and I have to recommend a funeral home in Westmoreland.
So as family members, you have that discussion together, and then if it comes down to a vote, then it's all right. Then these are the names that we have left. What is your vote? What is your vote? Come to an agreement. And in these situations where there are different choices, you won't be able to please everyone. Just understand that. And as a family member, if your choice of funeral home was not the one that they went with, you still can have an input, type of program, number of programs, something. But everybody has to be in the same, on the same wavelength, because again, everyone grieves differently.
Yeah, and in this situation, Mr. Maitland, I always say to family, because sometimes, a family say, boy, it is 8 of us, or it is 10 of us, and it's very hard for them to make some decision. I always said, who is the strong one? Yeah. I said, someone have to take the lead, while others are grieving. Right? Someone has to take the
lead, and somebody, it has to come to a place where the decision has to be made. There are times when we have had to play the middleman or the referee.
Because sometimes I tell family, I say, you lead and let the others follow.
Right.
What they are not in agreement with, they will tell you.
They will tell you. Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's that.
And even if that can't happen, there are times that we have to be in the middle to say, all right then, this is your choice. This is your choice. However, based on, we find different ways to ensure that we diffuse the situation so that everybody can be in agreement, so that on the day, listen, the most important day to family members is the funeral day.
Yeah.
Because the funeral day, just before you come in, Mr. Green, the funeral day is the last time you get to interact with your loved one. And so what we want is that on that day, as we'd say in Jamaica, everybody is singing from the same song sheet. Everybody feels that their voice was heard, they had an input, and this is for the greater good of the family. Go ahead, Mr. Green.
Yeah, and I was saying, in the grieving process also, it is good sometimes if you can, assign responsibility to other people to assist in the process.
Including children.
Yeah, including children. Instead of you have to be thinking how to do this, how to get that done, find other family member who can help you in the process and assign them to, because sometimes there are other family members who want to help out in this time.
What we also find, Mr. Green, is that during the time of the planning of the service, because persons are so busy getting things together, they don't have the time to really grieve. It is after the.
Another caller?
Yeah. All right, patch in that caller, please, in the last 2 minutes that we have. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, this is Yorkwin calling in.
Thanks for calling, Yorkwin.
I just wanted to say that a couple of things. Grief is basically, to me, what I understood by going through it myself.
We don't want to lose that caller, We don't want to lose that caller.
All right, as soon as we can.
We lost that caller?
Yeah, as soon as we can, our producer will try to get him back, and hopefully before we end here. If not, if we don't get him back today, Yorkwin, we will still be having the discussion on Thursday, and we hope to have that conversation with you, especially because you have gone through it, and I believe that there's something in what you say. All right, we have him. Come back through. All right, good, thank you. Go ahead, Yorkwin.
Yes, I was just saying that when I was going through it last year, I lost my dad. He died. However, grief can be an incomplete relationship because my father and I, we had a strained relationship, and I actually went to grief recovery counseling 6 months before he died. Meaning, I went with a counselor, and we went through the grief recovery counseling, and even going through it with a book called what's it called again? The Grief Recovery Handbook. It was able to carry me through that process, so that when my father died, I actually was one of the persons who didn't even really cry that much at the actual funeral. And I saw other persons who weren't able to go through that process, who to this day are still grieving. But one of the things that I understood from grief recovery counseling is that everybody grieves differently, and it is all normal.
Yes. Thank you so much for your input, Yorkin. Whoa, what a way. What a way.
Right. Because sometimes, the grieving even start before the death.
And it was good that he could identify that he needed the help.
And sometimes, again, Mr. Maitland, you have some people who might not have a good relationship with their loved one, and after the death, the grieving even become more painful for them.
But we're going to take on that. Even if we don't talk about that Thursday, we'll talk about it next Monday, because this is a wide topic to cover. And based on what we have experienced with clients in Jamaica, we know we'll be having further discussion on this. I want to thank everyone who has participated today. Thank you to the callers. Thank you to the listeners. Thank you for those who are spreading the word. As you know, it will get better because it came to pass. We'll be here again on Thursday to talk with you.
2 funeral homes come together to make this work. And I'm saying together, we will make this industry better. It will get better. Thank you, listeners, for joining in.
It will get better.
This is KLAS FM, the station where